Hello students, we were doing the first chapter of the Hornbill. We have finished the first two paragraphs explanation, and in this particular video we will learn about the relationship of the grandmother with her grandson that has grown over the years and how the relationship has changed over the years. Now, the initial setting is the village life, village setting, where we find that the author is saying that he was living a close association. He is living in a close association with his grandmother. Why? Because in this paragraph it has been said that the parent of the author has left him in the village and has moved to the city in order to settle themselves. And that is why the grandson and the grandmother, that is their mother and their son, were being left in the village, and the author, our author Khushwant Singh, was being looked after by his grandmother. So, let us have a quick reading. My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. So, here the third paragraph starts with the daily routine of the author and the grandmother. The grandmother used to wake the author up, give him bath and get him ready for the school, right? And while giving the bath, the grandmother used to sing song in a sing-song way, used to chant the prayers in the hope that the author will listen to it and will learn it. But the author is confessing over here that he had no intention to learn it. He used to remain silent only because he loved his grandmother's voice. I listened because I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot and a red pen, tie them all in bundle and hand it to me. Okay. So, after that the grandmother used to handle all the necessary ink pot and yellow chalk, plastered slate and everything tied up into a bundle, and after that the breakfast she used to give to the author, which consisted of a thick stale chapati with little butter spreaded on it along with sugar, and after that both of them used to walk up to the school. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. So, this means that this reflects her character, her true nature, her love for animals. She is very much affectionate about birds and animals. We will find more in the latter part of the chapter, but over here student we will find that over here that she used to carry several stale chapatis for the village dogs. Now, come to the next paragraph. My grandmother always went to the school with me because the school was attached to the temple. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer, while the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabet or prayer in a chorus. My grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. When we had both finished, we would walk back together. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. They followed us to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw at them. This means that the grandmother used to escort her grandson to the school, and the school premise, you cannot think of in a village setting in those days, we cannot think of a separate building as an educational institution like the school we find. So, at that point of time the temple used to be the school, and who used to be the teacher? The priest. The priest himself used to teach the prayers and the alphabets to the students. How the students used to sit? They used to sit in rows in both sides of the veranda, and all the students used to recite and chant the prayers in chorus. So, At that point of time, what the grandmother used to do, she used to sit inside the temple itself. She never used to leave her grandson in the temple alone or in the school premise alone. She used to sit in the temple and used to read the religious scriptures. So, again and again students, you will find how this grandmother has been projected or portrayed as a spiritual lady through the words our author has penned down. After they both finished, what they used to do? They used to come back to their home, and who used to follow them? The village dogs. They used to wait at the temple door, and while they used to come back to their home, they used to follow the grandmother and the grandson back to their home, and in want of food, the dogs used to fight and growl with each other in want of food. So, over here we have found their village lifestyle, the relation they used to share in the village setting. Now, this is the first phase of the relationship between the grandmother and her grandson. Coming to the next paragraph, students, when my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us. That was a turning point in our friendship. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me. I used to go to an English school in a motor bus. There were no dogs in the streets, and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of our city house. So, in this paragraph, in the following paragraph, you will find over here that this is the turning point. This is, see, again a phrase you are coming across. This is a new phrase. Turning points means a change in their relationship. This is the second phase where the grandmother and the grandson has been called upon or has been sent for by the parents in the city, and they together have come to the city, and the city life starts. Over here, the grandmother has stopped following his grandson or escorting the grandson to the school, and the village dogs are also not there. Why? Because the parents have put their son to an English school, and here a motor bus used to come by which the author used to travel to the school. So, the grandmother used to remain at home, and the only thing that they had in common, that is that they were used to share the same room in the city house. Now, the city life is quite different from the village life, students, because in the city there is the population is high, and there is a restriction or limitation of space. So, just a room was a common bond between them, and the other things like escorting to the school and feeding the dogs while going to the school, giving the lesson to the grandson, all these has stopped in the life of the grandmother. So, altogether this becomes a turning point, is affecting the relationship of the grandmother and the grandson. As the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. For some time she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught me. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. This made her unhappy. She could not help me with my lessons. She did not believe in the things they taught in the English school, and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. One day I announced that we were being given music lessons. She was very disturbed. To her, music had lewd associations. It was the monopoly of harlots and beggars, and not meant for gentle folk. She said nothing, but her silence meant disapproval. She rarely talked to me after that. So, in this paragraph you will find that students, as the years rolled by, as the time passed, over the years what has happened, that she continued to wake the author up and get him ready for the school, that was there. But when the author came back from the school, we find that she used to one day she asked the grandson that what has been taught in the school. Now, the grandson, that is our author Khushwant Singh, has said few English words and said that all the Western science, the learning were based on Western science, like for example, the laws of gravity, Archimedes principle, the world being round. So, all the scientific facts are being taught in the school. The education encompasses all the scientific views. This made her unhappy. This is a very important line, student. This made her unhappy. Why? Because she is out and out a spiritual lady by heart, and to her the prayers, the tradition, the culture Indian tradition has, she has a good affinity towards that, and she believed that without the religious scriptures, without learnings about gods, how can the lesson be completed? Instead, the Western science lessons are being taught to her grandson. So, this made her unhappy, as well as the fact that she could not impart the knowledge she used to have with her grandson. So, this was a that is why she was very unhappy. And one day when the author said that the music lesson has been given to him in the school, she became even more unhappy to know that, because music is something which she used to attach with the bad association, means the lewd. Lewd means bad things, and who are harlots? A prostitute or a promiscuous woman. So, music is something not meant for gentle folk, rather a bad thing associated with bad people according to the view of the grandmother.